Hello you guys, and welcome back to my channel. Remember when I said I was gonna be consistent and then I wasn't at all? We're back. No, but it's July 3rd, and honestly, June took it out of me. That was the craziest month of my life. Because obviously it's Pride, and so as a gay person myself, I'm in the streets, I'm partying, I'm celebrating being gay, I'm taking in queer culture as much as I can, but then on top of that, add in Garden of, my Sapphic Collective, and we were working overtime, to say the least. Garden of has been so insane, and if you're new here, or you know me through Garden of, or you know me through Eden Strader, let me just go ahead and introduce myself in a professional sense, which is that I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur. I was a destination wedding photographer for the first half of my 20s, and then right as I got divorced, the pandemic happened, all weddings got rescheduled or canceled. I decided to take a break from weddings, went into coaching and consulting for creative entrepreneurs. I've been doing that basically full time for the last 5 years, which I cannot believe it's been 5 years since the pandemic started. I don't want to talk about it. But I love hosting. I've loved hosting so much the last couple years, and it's something that's like really become a part of my personality as I've found myself outside of my marriage and out of the Mormon church and found myself in queerness and in living in New York City. And it's just become a really big part of my life as I've become more and more extroverted. And so when I launched Garden of, the entire idea was that I would just like host more often. We had outgrown my apartment. I wasn't able to host anymore in our apartment because there was too many people. The parties were getting too big. We were annoying my neighbors. Sorry if you guys ever see this. But like, I was just like, oh, let's start a collective so that we can just like partner with other bars and venues and kind of have something that's a little bit easier and more consistent. I never imagined what it would grow into. And as someone that is a coach and consultant with creative entrepreneurs, like my entire job, my professional living is based off helping small businesses become successful and become sustainable. So it's been very interesting to like start this business that I thought would be a very small thing and, you know, grow maybe a little, but like very sustainably, very well paced, and it is just like blown up in the best way possible. I'm so happy. Let me be so clear that nothing I'm about to talk about in this video is me complaining whatsoever, but I do think it's important to be transparent on like what has happened here, what Garden of is, what it's become, where it's going, transparency around money, and you know, the business side of things for those that are thinking about starting a new business or what that can look like. And this is the first time I've ever seen a business blow up this quickly in regards to like my own businesses and my own success. I've never seen anything like this. We only launched at the end of February and we just signed on a studio space a couple weeks ago. So it has just like blown up in a matter of months. And it's been really crazy because I have really thrived in the past on having very clear structures, very clear offerings, very clear systems. And I don't have that with Garden of. And it's been nice to like push myself outside of my comfort zone and be like, let's ride the wave. Let's see what's coming to us. Let's take opportunities as they come. Let's focus more on the joy and the expansion and the community coming with this rather than the stress of business itself, because things always work out. And I firmly believe that. And that has been the case thus far. But I want to kind of like talk through what that's looked like, because again, like I said, we launched at the beginning of February. And then in March, we threw our first massive party, which was the Shane Lookalike competition, which got picked up by the Windy City Times. Like I think we had like 600 RSVPs, and this was before I was doing like a ticker at the door, so I'm not positive on how many people came through the space, but I think it was over 300, and that was insane. Like we had open and in business for a month, so that was already really, really wild. And then I took almost an entire month off in April, and we just started like hosting events after that, like more things outside as the weather got better, but also just like craft nights, opportunities for people to get to know each other, nights where we would meet at the bar, what have you. And it just started like really picking up momentum, which has been amazing. And we've connected with so many incredible other business owners. It's been really beautiful to watch the community really come together for that. And so for Pride last month in June, we had our Pride kickoff, which was Dyke Summer. And that had over 600 people come through the doors. I think our RSVPs were closer to around 700 something, but I had someone with a ticker at the door. And that was crazy to see that over 600 people came in and out of our space. We had a line at the door at 7:30 p.m. that wrapped around the entire block. Like it has been insane, you guys, truly. And my friends are helping me a ton, but like it is just me, which has been really overwhelming in a really beautiful way. But this has become my full-time job. It demands like 60 hours a week, which has been insane. So we launched Dyke Summer, and right around as Dyke Summer was coming, I signed on a studio because I found a studio space for us to have a consistent Sapphic and queer space in the city where where we can host events, but also just like have a third space for queer people to show up at in a way that feels really accessible and isn't a bar, right? Like something that's a little bit more sober friendly. So I launched a fundraiser to help get the space off the ground. I do not come from money. I started getting comments today on my socials being like, give me some of daddy's money, give me some of mommy's money. I do not have daddy or mommy's money. I have not been given any money by my parents. Let me be so clear. Even if my parents had money to give me, I don't want it. I don't think you should be this old and be taking money from your parents. Sorry, grow up. No, just kidding. I mean, parents really want to like give you all of that money. Like, take advantage of it for those of us that don't come from money. But like I am doing this all myself, and Garden of has not been a extremely profitable venture thus far because I wanted it to be accessible to the community. So our craft nights are paid. Some of our parties are like a $5 cover up to $15 covers, but most of our events are free. And I've been super lucky to be a part of the Pie Creator Fund, which pays me a little bit per party. I usually am able to earn like $250 to $500 per party out of their creator program, but like I'm on a timeline for that. That's not everlasting. I probably won't be doing it past this year. So it's been really helpful to kind of like get things off the ground and, you know, pay myself. Last month, June, was like the first month that I ever was able to pay my rent off Garden of. But since April, like this has been my full-time job in terms of hours. So I have a regular business that I'm still taking clients and talking to my clients on, but I have barely been doing any marketing. I really haven't been pushing anything because I've just been full-time doing this. So we launched the fundraiser to kind of help get the space off the ground in a more sustainable way, because like God knows if I wanted to wait for Garden of to run enough of a profit to get a Sapphic space and a physical space off the ground, it would take a very, very, very long time. My goal is $20,000 to like really make sure that we are covered for rent as well as furnishing a 1,000 square foot space. Like it's not a small studio. We have to pay for internet, for a co-working space, insurance, licensing fees, permits. Like there's so much that goes into it. And I'm so lucky that I've been self-employed as long as I have. So I'm not having to like start from scratch in terms of like, how does one start a business and what does that look like? Like I have experience in this realm, but I've never opened a physical space before. So there's just so much going on. So we set the goal at $20,000 to really make sure that we're like set and able to furnish and able to pay rent for a couple months without having to depend on the queer community paying immediately, because I don't know what that's going to look like. There's nothing like this that exists. And I have not been able to find anything like this online. Like this really is kind of like the first of its kind that isn't a bar and isn't a space like that. So it's been a learning curve to kind of see what people are interested in, what people want to pay for things, what people's budgets are. And so that is what we set the goal at. And right now we're at a little over 4K, which is amazing. And if you can donate, I would love you forever. Every dollar counts, which I know sounds silly, but I've been telling everyone, like hundreds of thousands of people have seen me post about the studio. And if each person had donated $1, we would be free events for the rest of the year, babe. Like that, we're done. So even $1 is super helpful, but even if you can't, like I would love if you shared it. Like please, please, please share it. It is so helpful for us to get the word out, because truly like the more we get the fundraiser going and the more I'm able to like crowdfund and things like that, the more accessible I can make the studio. Because I've been talking to a lot of people about Garden of and the fact that like I need to start earning money off of it, just because it takes so much time and it's not sustainable for me to work this much and not be able to put my time and energy into other things that earn me money. But like, I'm not trying to get rich off this. Like that is not the goal. I don't like that. I think it's weird. And I have other streams of income in which I earn money. So like I need Garden of to earn me enough to live a decent life. But like, I do want it to be as accessible as possible. And I've been talking to other creatives that want to like use this for workshops or teachings or things like that. And I've been very clear. I'm like, this has to be accessible. Like if you want people to pay money for tickets, like it needs to be sliding scale. Like there needs to be at least one free event a week. Like it's so important to me that like as a Sapphic community, we have access to this space. And I want to make sure that like money and capitalism is not the thing standing between you and community. Like that is not cool. I don't like that. That is not what I stand for. So I'm really trying to walk this line of like crowdsourcing and crowdfunding from the people that can afford it, so that yes, one, I can earn a livable wage and continue doing this, but like most importantly, keep this accessible for people. And that was a huge part of me launching the studio. Is I was like, okay, we're kind of at the point where like I either need to do this full time and we just like hard send, or I need to quit it completely and like go back to work, because like my landlord actually does not care that I'm doing things for the queer community. Who's shocked? So that's where we're at with all of that. I would again love any help that you can give us with the fundraiser. But I got the keys to the studio this past week, which has been so exciting. I have secondhand sourced some of our first furniture that got delivered this past week. So next week, a bunch of lovely Saphics have volunteered to come help me build those things because God knows being a handy queer is not my journey in life. I hate building furniture. I will do it just because I don't need a man to do it for me. But like Dyke with a hammer wants to come help. Like, I'm not gonna say no. Love, thank you. But I've been super excited about it. I'm like starting to get started on the projects within the space, because really the only thing that we are like waiting on right now is zoning to get like our license, and that should hopefully move somewhat quickly because it's not that complex of a business nor space, God willing. But then we're good. We're rolling, we're going. And so I really want to make sure that I have like all my eggs in a row by the time that license comes through so we can just snap into it, get ready to go. Because like this is my full-time job with full-time hours, but not full-time pay. So I want to make sure too that we're like not sitting in the space and paying rent for like months. Space just sits there. So that's kind of where things are at right now. I am definitely going to start playing with the idea of doing like some more heavier ticketed events so that we can like start turning a profit in some ways while still keeping like, my thing is like free and accessible events don't need to decrease. I can add on more things to earn money, but I'm not going to like trade out accessible parties and accessible events to switch them with something really expensive. So, but then that's a time thing, right? And I'm really short on time right now. I am not working 24/7. And like, how lucky am I that my job is like hanging out with the Sapphic community and having a giggle, having a hee hee ha ha in the city of Chicago. But yeah, it's been crazy. I need to get the studio up off the ground. I'm really hoping that we can get that moving as quickly as possible. To say that I've been running my own business since I was like 19, 20s, we're coming on a decade now. I will say Chicago might be one of the more complex cities I've ever tried to do this in. They have so many hoops that you have to jump through. I can't say it's the most small business friendly city I've ever lived in, which I knew kind of when I was looking into the idea of opening a bar, but like it has been shocking to see like how complicated they make it for every type of business owner. Can't say that I'm the most pleased with that. Not sure what that is. I want to do some like looking into that and see like why Chicago is like that, because I find that really fascinating. I love cities that really thrive on small businesses and encourage small businesses to exist, which obviously like that's a stretch. I don't really know of any government structure that loves people earning money off of them or earning money in general. But Chicago seems like especially complex. But then again, in New York City, in order to be an LLC, you have to file a newspaper ad. You have to file a newspaper ad in order to be a valid business in the city of New York. That is the most outdated thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So anyway, we're moving, we're grooving. We got a lot going on. It has been so much fun, so chaotic. It never stops. I'm hopefully bringing on some volunteers soon to kind of help with like everything that's going this in which way. Whether you follow along on Instagram or TikTok, I'm really trying to make sure that I post like vlogs behind the scenes as we like build up the studio and what that looks like, as well as my DIY projects, thrifting, all of that good stuff. So don't forget to follow us over there. Don't forget to donate or at least share the fundraiser. And I'll see you guys next week to keep you updated.